Hi everybody, happy Sunday and welcome back to Clues by Sam, our daily puzzle here on the channel. We got another hard one today. Let's see how hard this actually is. And if you don't know what Clues by Sam is, it is a daily logic puzzle game where you have 20 people on a board. Each of them must be either a criminal or an innocent, and we usually have a first person giving us the first clue among many so that we can figure out what each person is. If you want to play, there is a link in the description to take you to today's, and I'm gonna start mine right now and explain my logic as I go so you can follow along. Let's start. We start with Barb telling us that only one of the three criminals above Zach is Joy's neighbor. Okay, so Joy is above Zach, and she has two people neighboring her who are also above Zach. Only one of those is a criminal, but there has to be three criminals above Zach total, and there's only two people beyond those two that neighbor Joy. Joy is one of those, and she also has to be a criminal, so we can total three. Now, Joy herself gives us a new clue. Zach has at least one innocent neighbor. Okay, so it might be, because of the at least, it might be that both Stella and Xavier are innocents, but it might be that just one of them is. We don't know yet. Tom says that column D is the only column with exactly one innocent. So that innocent is Joy's neighbor, which means that Zach, who is also in column D, is not an innocent. And now Zach says that all innocents in column B are connected. So the second innocent, if there is one. I guess we already settled in the past that all innocents means that there's at least one, there's at least two. All scopes, at least two people. So that means that anybody else that is an innocent in column B has to be connected to Barb. And we also know that column D is the only column with exactly one innocent, so that confirms that there isn't only one innocent in column B, because there is only one in column D. So that says that Hall is an innocent. We don't know if Martin is, though, because it could be. Now Hall says there are more innocents in column B than column C. How does that go? Because we know that Zach has at least one innocent. But we don't know that all innocents in column C are connected. We do know that column C has to have more than one innocent, though. Because it couldn't have only one neighboring Zach. What does that tell me? Because I don't know if there are any criminals here. If there are more innocents in column B than column C, we know that there are at least 3 innocents in column... Oh. There's at least... Well, there are already 2 innocents in column B. And there has to be at least 2 in column C, because there couldn't be one only, because column D is the only column with one only. So if we know that there is one innocent neighboring Zach, that means that there's at least 2 innocents in column C, since there couldn't be only one. And since there's 2 innocents in column C, that means there's at least 3 innocents in column B, so Martin does have to be an innocent. That was a very cool way of getting there. Martin says that there are exactly 2 criminals in column C. Criminals, so there's 5 people in column C total. If 2 of them are criminals, then that means that there's 3 of them who are innocents. And if there's 3 people in column C who are innocents, and there has to be more innocents in column B than column C, there's at least 4 innocents in column B. So Ruby is also an innocent. And now Ruby says that both innocents above Xavier are connected. So if we know that there's 2 innocents above Xavier, both of them are connected, and we know that there's 3 people total who are innocents. In column C, only 2 of them are above Xavier, then Xavier has to be one of the innocents, right? That makes perfect sense to me. We don't need, we do need Ruby's clue because we don't know who are the innocents yet. Xavier now says that Barbie and Hall have 3 innocent neighbors in common. What are Barbie and Hall? Barbie and Hall have 3 people who are innocents neighboring them. They have 4 people shared as neighbors total. If 3 of those are innocents, let's say that Ivan is a criminal. that breaks column C. Because we know that the people who are innocents above Xavier in column C are connected. So it wouldn't work for Ivan to be a criminal because that would make Chad an innocent and he would be separated from Nick or Stella who could be innocent. So Ivan has to be an innocent. And that makes either Nick or Chad the second innocent who is connected to Ivan and above Xavier in column C, which makes Stella a criminal. Now we know that Zach has only one innocent neighbor. We don't need Joy School anymore. Stella gives us a new clue. Pam is one of Martin's 3 criminal neighbors. So Martin has 3 criminal neighbors total. Pam is one of them. And there's 2 more to find out. Ivan says there are exactly 2 criminals in column A. So a second one neighbors Martin. Could it be that a second one neighbors Martin? But we couldn't have all of Martin's neighbors be in column A, right? And he needs 3 of them. So that means that Nick has to be one of those because at most 2 could be here. Nick is... Calm down because Stella also neighbors Martin. I almost got that wrong, almost. So there's only one more criminal to fight neighboring Martin. And it could be in column A, but it could be Nick. So let's leave that there. Pam says there are at least 4 criminals who can't keep quiet. Well, I don't think any of the criminals can keep quiet in this game. Pam is one of Martin's 3 criminal neighbors. Okay, we're working on that. Both innocents above Xavier connected. Barb and Hall have 3 innocent neighbors in common. So, do we know that Gus is an innocent? Because let's say we know that Hall and Barb have to have 1 criminal neighbor in common, right? Since they have 3 innocents neighboring them. If it were Gus, that will make Kay an innocent, that works, and Anna an innocent. Oops, Olivia is still opposite of Freya. If, though, these 2 guys are innocent, Anna and Gus, that makes Chad a criminal, and that will make Nick an innocent. In that case, Kay would have to be a criminal because Martin needs his last criminal. And it's either gonna be someone here or someone here. Is there a way that it could be Anna, the second criminal in column A? If it were Anna, then both Gus and Kay would have to be innocents. But now Chad would be an innocent and Nick a criminal, and that makes Martin have his last criminal neighbor here. So does that tell us that Uma is never a criminal? Is it? Let's try to make Uma a criminal. If Uma is a criminal, then we know that everybody here is an innocent because there's only 2 innocents in column A. Somebody said that somehow, somewhen. There's extra criminals in column C. We don't need that anymore. 2 criminals in column A. I haven't said that. So now, both Chad and Nick would have to be criminals so that Barb and Hall have a criminal neighboring them and Martin has his 3rd criminal. So it doesn't work. Uma can't be a criminal. Good. Now Uma says there's an equal number of criminals in rows 3 and 5. 3 and 5. There has to be a second innocent in row 3. We know that. How does that help me? Could we make 2 criminals in row 3 if Gus were a criminal? Nope, because if Gus is a criminal, then both of these guys have to be innocents. Martin has only 1 more criminal neighboring him. And that breaks because now row, oh, we're talking about row 5. Why am I thinking that both of these rows have to have the same number? Okay, we have to have a second innocent in row 3. That's okay. Could we have Vince be a criminal and then we have 2 criminals in row 3? If Olivia and somebody else here is a criminal, that works. I think I'm going off track, but let's just bear with me, bear with me. Then Chad would be a criminal and these guys would be innocent, so that works nicely. If, let's try to make Vince an innocent and then we have to have 3 innocents in row 3. If Vince is an innocent, then these guys. Could we have both of them be innocents and then Gus is a criminal? That doesn't work because Chad would have to be a criminal and now Hall and Barb have too many criminals neighboring them. So no, these 2 guys would have to be opposites, which would make Olivia an innocent. So that we could have 3 in row 3 just as we have in row 5. In that situation, this is Martin 3rd criminal, which makes Gus an innocent. How does it work with Chad and Anna? Because one of them has to be an innocent, the other one has to be a criminal. So that Hall and Barb have an innocent. Could then Nick be a criminal and Chad an innocent? That will make Anna a criminal. That works. If it were the opposite, Nick is an innocent, that makes Chad a criminal, which would make Anna an innocent and Kay a criminal. So that works. Does it not work if Vince is a criminal? It did, right? We tried that before. Is this not what I have to be looking at? Barb and Hall have 3 innocent neighbors in common. This is good. Both innocent above Zavy. They are gonna be connected. We don't need that anymore. There's an equal number of criminals in rows 3 and 5. That means there has to be at least 1 criminal in row 3. So the only thing is that it couldn't be Olivia as the criminal and these 2 guys innocents. Don't think I need Tom's School anymore to. There is gonna be only 3 instances in column C, so I don't need whole school anymore. And there's 2 criminals in column A, which means we need a second one here, but there's no way we couldn't have one. If we act now on this, like, can we make Gus a criminal? Because if we do, Anna and Kay both are innocents, Chad also has to be an innocent, and Nick has to be an innocent, and that breaks everybody. Does it? Hall and Barb have only 1 criminal, so that works. Martin has 3, so that works. And now we need a 3rd criminal in row 5. A 3rd innocent, sorry. But that will make Olivia a criminal, which makes Freya an innocent, so that works for everybody. Oh no, Nick and Chad are both innocents. So it was broken. It was broken. Gus can't be a criminal because it breaks these guys. Going round and round. Gus now says there are more innocents in row 1 than 3. Innocents. We know now that Anna and Chad are one a criminal and the other one an innocent, right? Is there a way for there to be 3 or 4 we know that Nick and Kay are also gonna be opposites. Why? Because Martin needs a third criminal neighbor and Barb and Hall need one criminal neighbor here. So that means that if there's gonna be one criminal person here for sure, and there has to be more than that in row 1, or less than that in row 1, but there is gonna be one here for sure in row 1, row 3 needs a second criminal. I'm talking about criminals instead of innocents, so I'm gonna flip this up. Let's think about innocents. If there's 2 innocents here for sure in row 3, because Martin is one of them, the second one is either gonna be Nick or Kay. And there has to be, and there's also 2 innocents here in row 1. Barb is one of them, the second one is either Chad or Anna. What does that mean? There has to be one more innocent in row 1 who could only be Freya. And she being an innocent makes Olivia a criminal, which solves this clue for us. And now Freya says there's at least one whining criminal in column A. Who is it? Well, what do we know now? We know the total for row 3. There's 2 innocents total in row 3 and 2 criminals. If there has to be the same number of criminals in row 5, that means there's 2 criminals in row 5, so Vince is a criminal as well. And now he says that there are more innocent pilots and innocent sleuths. We have 3 innocent pilots and 3 sleuths total. So that makes Chad and Kay opposites, because we couldn't have both of them be innocents. That will make the same number of pilots and sleuths be innocents. So one of these guys is a criminal, right? Could it be Chad? And if it were Chad, that will make Nick an innocent and Kay a criminal and Anna an innocent. Now there's 2 criminal sleuths, which could happen. 1 innocent sleuth is less than 3 innocent pilots. But if it were the opposite, if Chad were an innocent, Nick would make Kay an innocent as well. And now we have 3 and 3 innocents, which doesn't work. So both of these guys are criminals and both of these guys are innocents. Okay, that was good. I've noticed that when I'm editing, every time I say okay, when I finish a puzzle, it's always a high-pitched okay. It's so funny, but funny to me. You guys don't have to find it funny. Sorry. But that was a long one. I had to do some very, I guess, opposite thinking there with the innocents and criminals. So sorry about that, but I hope you enjoyed the video. Only 29% had a perfect. So those sets always shock me. Because it might be that I feel like people have a hard time thinking for too long. Sometimes you gotta really think about stuff. And I feel like the average person is not a fan of thinking. They want to know the answer. So they don't spend the mental load needed to get to the answer. So they rather get clues, they rather get tips. What is the name of the thing? Hints? They rather get hints, they rather make it wrong and then find the right answer early than to get a perfect solve. When, in my opinion, what you should strive for is getting a perfect solve. And the nice thing about these puzzles is that they help you exercise your mental capacity of doing hard work with your mind. It's just like the gym. You're doing the gym but for your brain while you're doing these things, and getting used to the mental load is a part of it. And it is a part of what makes you mentally stronger and mentally sharper. So if you're watching this and you have a hard time, I would urge you to get used to the fact that things take longer when you gotta really make sure that you're doing the right thing. And that will help you in so many other aspects of your life if you get used to that and if you get better at it. So yeah, my advice would be use less hints, take longer. It is sometimes frustrating, but it gets better and it helps you not only with puzzles, but in a lot of other aspects in your life. That's it for this video. I will be live streaming later today. I don't know what I'm playing yet because my hand's still busted. So I gotta play something that doesn't require a lot of motion. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow for more Clues by Sam. Bye bye.